You being with us here today. You understand a high level of frustration here, and that's concern. I mean, it's not frustration about our prerogatives being disrespected. This is about the people we represent. 64% of energy in this country is carried through pipelines, 64%. PHMSA reported 649 pipeline incidents last year. 649, half of which were designated serious or significant, resulting in 22 fatalities of people we represent, 35 injuries, and more than $242 million in damages. The failure to implement these mandated requirements result in deaths. When I was serving the state legislature, we had a new natural gas plant explode in Connecticut for failure to follow proper procedures. 6 people lost their lives. So we need to know what exactly is the holdup here. What possibly can be, if you've got, again, as Mr. Capuano said, you have enough funding, you have the resources, then why is this not happening? Because the consequences, at a time when we are expanding pipelines, right? This administration has a commitment to expand resources and energy production in the United States. Almost all of that is flowing through pipelines. So you can understand we have extremely severe concern about the consequences of 6, 7, 8-year-old mandates that have yet to be implemented. So we are facing a really serious question here of how we do our duty in oversight and in resourcing your agency to protect the American people. So again, I would ask, what exactly is the holdup?
Congresswoman, I share your concerns and thank you for the question. I can't put my finger on any one item or thing that's the holdup. I can only tell you that we will continue to work very, very hard to move these very meaningful regulations through to conclusion. And as I said in my comments, I think it's going to take more than just the regulations, though. I think it's going to take continued conversation with all the shareholders, the stakeholders, the public, industry, and other government agencies to make sure that we get that last bit of safety. I mean, as much as we talk about the incidents that occur, and they seem to be, when we hear them, to be an alarming number, it is still the safest way to move energy products in this country. What my job is, what the job of PHMSA is to work with you all to make sure that we can get that last little bit of safety. Unfortunately, what we see today are not maybe some of the minor incidents that were of large number, but now what we're seeing, unfortunately, might be more of those less frequent but very high consequence kind of incidents that do create casualties. That's what I'm focused on. That's what the team at PHMSA is focused on. So again, my job is to make you and the members of the subcommittee believe in PHMSA again through action.
Well, I'll tell you, in New England, we have a real critical shortage, and there are efforts to try to expand pipelines. It's very hard for me to go to my constituents and urge them to do this when we have congressionally mandated safety regulations that have not even been introduced or promulgated for years. How can I go to my constituents and say, we're from the government, trust us? We can't do that responsibly. And so I will tell you there's a great deal of concern. We are facing energy shortages and price hikes in my part of the country, in my state, and yet at the same time, we are facing regulations that have been mandated and aren't in place. So if you need more people, tell us. Because asking for more time we are impatient because we are concerned about the safety of the people we represent. So again, I would urge you in these strongest possible terms to identify for us what we can do to move this forward, because truly the ball's in your court. And we are not patient at this point. Thank you. I realize you haven't been here long, but again, this needs to be done, and it is now your responsibility to do so. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you, Ms. Esty. Mr. Gallagher.